All right, everybody, welcome to the reaction of Asmongold. So basically, I'm just gonna give a little background. We're gonna watch his statement, and then we're gonna talk about, or we're not gonna talk about it, but like we'll watch Hassan. But first, we got to watch this, and I'll give a little bit of context of what's happened so far.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing.
He's just drinking. This is the most awkward silence, dude. This is like, you know how like at like a Thanksgiving dinner when like somebody says something really fucked up and then it gets quiet and then and then you just hear like forks on plates. This is literally that, but with a drink. You hear him gulp.
And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But
I mean, I'll wait. I'll let him finish, and then we're gonna kind of go into my initial thoughts, and then we can watch the Hassan video.
if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. I don't support them.
Overwatch.
If you're not making
No, shut the fuck up.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing.
All right. So basically, I think he has some points there in this, but it kind of goes off the rails a little bit because he basically starts talking about like how the culture's like fucked up. I don't know how to do this really because it's been a little bit of time, and he has made like statements, and he's like quitting YouTube. So I mean, okay, I'll just give a little more background on this. So after he says this, he he got like a ton of backlash, tons of death threats, and people are really upset. And apparently now he's walking away from YouTube. So, or not YouTube, he's walking away from streaming for a bit. I think not entirely sure, but he made like an announcement video where he's just like, I've kind of become something I don't like, you know, which is totally true. This is very much like a, you know, I think anybody who has a take that's like has zero regard for human life, I think usually they're just either uneducated or they need to go outside and talk to people. You know what I mean? They need to like socialize. Cuz like to say that oh all these people deserve to die because they have an inferior culture is it's a bit of an overstatement. It's an overreaction, and I'll be honest. I kind of had similar thoughts after the attack on Israel and where they killed all those people at a festival. I was thinking a lot of the same shit. I was very upset. I said a lot of the same stuff. But I mean, I would flip-flop like over time, over the course of like the months after that attack. I'd be really upset, and then other times I'd be like, well, they don't all deserve to die, you know. But it made me like upset, and it's a very complicated issue. You can't really choose one singular side because they're both really fucked up. And I've actually followed this whole situation, like the Israel Palestine thing, quite a bit. So I think now I can make a pretty good public statement that won't cancel me and isn't offensive, and I actually believe it, you know, because I've had time to like think and like you know, understand the situation more, I guess. So, oh my god. This is rough. This is rough. What is this? We're gonna watch Hassan, and he is notorious for having the worst takes on the conflict between Israel and Palestine. He's notoriously lied and spread propaganda for one side only, and has really been really fucked up. But also, I think enough time has passed that maybe he can have a slightly less radical take, because when it first happened, the first months after, if you were on you there was no middle ground, it was only like left or right, but not left or right. It was Palestine or Israel. And you know, there's certain things that I've learned about the conflict and the history of the situation that made me kind of like reflect on my initial thoughts, because initially I thought a lot of the same stuff Asmongold did. I thought, like, these people are savages. They deserve to die. Almost literally that, though. Like, cuz you know why there was a video after the attack in Israel, and it was a girl in the back of a truck being paraded through the Gaza Strip, half naked. There was a hole in her skull, and everyone on the streets was celebrating and cheering, and some guy spit into her head. And that, for me, made me very, very upset with the whole situation, and I could care less about the Palestinian people at the time. But over time, my thoughts have changed. I've learned some of the history, and it's definitely no justifier for Palestine and their actions. But, it's, I don't think one group of people should be the face of a country, you know? And that doesn't justify any genocide on any side, because genocide is it's more of a like an absolute type of thing, like it's a generalization almost of people. When you genocide them, you think, oh, all of them are the exact same person, when they're not all the same people. And I think when we talk about inferior cultures, like Asmongold was saying, I don't think they have an inferior well, I guess when you look up the definition of like culture, what is it?
Culture is the collection of social behavior, norms, and institutions that exist in human societies. It also includes the knowledge, beliefs, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, and habits of the individuals in those groups' cultures, often associated with a particular region or location, like Gaza.
So technically, I guess, yeah, they do have an inferior culture. It's not to say that the people are inferior, but the surroundings they have is definitely not good. The people in Gaza deserve better. They should have a better education. They should have better food and resources and more freedoms. They're not allowed to leave their country. It's really fucked up. So that does make it an inferior culture. Like the social norms and the things that they do and the way they behave is fucked up because they grew up in a fucked up area. Because if you take a baby from Gaza and you take a baby from the U.S., you swap places with them, that U.S. baby is going to grow up to be a Hamas terrorist. And then if you take that not Hamas, you take that Palestinian baby and you put it in the U.S., that kid's just going to grow up to be a normal ass kid. It's a normal kid in a normal world. Over there, it's not a normal world, so you get less normal people. So I think Asmongold doesn't have like a crazy, crazy take. Like, some of the things he was saying was a little real if you just like learn the definition of words, and you really like think on the statement and you don't just go all absolute. I think he was kind of going all absolute, and he was saying that, like, oh, they don't deserve to live. But I mean, we have to hear him out, and that's why I'm gonna listen to this. I purposely avoided this, but I'm not gonna watch the whole 3 hours. I purposely avoided this entire thing because I wanted to, like, you know, react to it. So this is literally my first impressions to the situation, other than getting the news from Philip DeFranco on, like, certain things after the fact. like the death threats and him quitting. So, and getting banned. He got banned. So, we're gonna watch this, and I'm a little worried because when it comes to like really sensitive subjects like this or the doctor disrespect thing, not to get too deep in the doctor disrespect thing, but like he said, he admitted, I read his tweet. I never read his tweet, but I read his tweet on his admission, quote unquote admission. And he says, I inappropriately messaged a minor, but I'm not like that. And that's basically the tweet. He's like, I'm not a pedophile, but I did inappropriately message a minor, which is why I got in trouble with Twitch because they wanted to, you know, get out of his $50 million contract, which is a lot of fucking money. So that's if you know the definition between sexual and inappropriate, it's two completely different things. So inappropriate is like if I texted a fan and I said, "Hey, um, I don't know, if I made a dick joke, like I wear a size 15, so if I said, "Oh, I got a big dick," to a fan as a joke in character as Doctor Disrespect, Twitch could take that, send it, and try and be like, "Oh, he's a pedophile," and then they'll lose the case, which is what happened. So I'm not saying Dr. Disrespect is innocent because I don't want to make anybody angry, but I think the evidence kind of does lean towards innocence, in my opinion, if you know the definition between those two words, which is where people get caught up. I think a lot of people, they lose track of the definition of culture or, certain words because a lot of people in the US don't know words and they say them a lot. So all right, we're going to watch the video now, but don't get offended by what I say and then think I'm saying some shit that's like absolute no. Just look into the definitions of the shit I say. And if I still offend you, then let me know.
Not going to cry a river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck.
All
They're
right.
terrible people.
What the? Ain't no way he's talking about
I'm gonna go
Palestinians,
full
right?
screen.
They'd be
I know
doing the
people
same
get
thing.
angry when I do that,
How
but
much did
whatever.
they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing.
Oh my god, I hate this argument so much, bro. This is crazy. Holy. What is this? This is the full clip?
I want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people. They have genocide built into Sharia law.
Bro. Oh my god, bro. Oh my.
I fucking hate Hassan. But yeah, going back on some of the things he said, they have a genocide built into their law. That's not really true. But kind of is. I mean, they murder gay people for being gay. So, I mean, when you kill a mass amount of gay people over a course of a few years, that kind of is genocide. So, technically, I mean, I don't really know what the hell Sharia law is, and I'm assuming it's their law system, but I'm not. I would look it up. I would look it up, but I'm so sick of going into the definitions of shit. Even though I just told people, hey, read the definition. Whatever. Let's get to the
Part of
the
this that I
debate.
don't understand. It's like, oh, Western culture is so superior. We love the gays, except I throw a fit every time I see them in my video games. But it's bad when.
I mean, dude, there's a difference between murdering gay people for being gay and then having a group of people get angry that there's gay people in video games and saying that they shouldn't be in. Sure, there's two different, like, sure, they're kind of the same, but they're not at all. We're not murdering, like, there was a black lesbian James Bond. She is still getting jobs. She's still getting roles. Like, she's still working. She's alive. She's a millionaire. Over in Gaza, she would have been murdered because she's gay.
Palestinians, I have imagined an alternative reality when Palestinians also do that, and I hate it when they do that. Okay, Asmongold wants to talk. He said, "Hello."
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say, I don't like Israel that much anymore at all because I've seen some of the shit they did, and it's really fucked up. It's really fucked up. Like, I honestly think that blowing up all those pagers is straight up terrorism. That is definitely terrorism. Like, I saw some videos of people scared to use a thermometer in whatever country they blew up. I'm forgetting the name. Some was it with a J or something? I don't know. I was gonna say Jerusalem. I don't fucking know. Lebanon. I saw a video from Lebanon of these people that were scared to use like a thermometer or like a key code to get into a gate because they're scared it will blow up. That's straight up terrorism, dude. That is terrorism. If you know, if Iran blew up a bunch of cell phones in the US, we would call that terrorism. It's a mass terror attack. It's straight up terrorism. So I definitely think Israel has gone from victim to uh what, a criminal? I don't know. They're terrorists, dude. The IDF are terrorists. Let's be honest. They're terrorists on both sides, and I don't support either of them. I think they're both really fucked up, and I hope there's peace, and I hope that Israel stops, stealing land from the West Bank.
I can hear you. All right.
Okay.
Asmon,
Yes.
in the interest of fairness, I want you to explain what you said that I saw in clip.
But I will not defend Palestine, by the way. I'm just saying I'm not on either side, by the way. Okay, so I will say that I don't support Israel, but I don't support Palestine either. I think both sides are really fucked up, and they just need to work it out peacefully.
Clips in limited clips earlier today. I think.
Okay, so basically, I find it to be really problematic that people put like a lot of virtue signaling, and I think it is virtue signaling, for people that are supportive for like trans rights and LGBT rights when they support countries that kill people and prosecute them for being LGBT.
Right.
I think it's a huge problem, and I don't think you can have both of those things.
Right, like those college students that are like, they're lesbians. They got short hair. It's pink. They're fat, ugly, orc-looking bitches at a college campus, screaming, "Free Palestine! Free Palestine! From the river to the sea! Kill the Jews!" It's like, you're retarded. You would get murdered over there. That's a take that I think a lot of people have. Unless you're like a radical Palestinian lover and you think that they're all innocent people. They're not all innocent, but they're not all bad. That's my point. Generalization in this case is very wrong. You cannot generalize either side. You could just say that you don't like either of them, though, which is what I do. I just say I don't like either.
So when you were saying like Palestinians exhibit inferior culture that's barbaric, you were simply talking about the hypocrisy. Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much. I do. And somebody in my chat said that you said that I thought Christian theocracy was better.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, what a fucking surprise. Okay. Well, here's the thing, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I want you to like fully explain, because I want to understand everything that you mean beyond the hypocrisy, because like the hypocrisy version, or the hypocrisy in and of itself, is one thing that we can address. It's a super simple concept.
Holy fuck.
But I think there's always a broader point beyond hypocrisy, because online hypocrisy in and of itself,
Dude, he's
or
got the
even
most crazy
the
fucking
invocation
chat.
of hypocrisy, or perceived hypocrisy, is
These
seemingly
people
a
are
more damaging
flipping
thing
out.
than like actual material harm, right? Oh, this person is hypocritical, and that's like a very common fucking thing. I'm sure you experience it on a regular basis as well. It doesn't really matter.
Most hypocrisy, I think, is derived from a misunderstanding that is often deliberate. I see it oftentimes with you. You've seen it with me. Everybody has it happen. It's extremely common on the internet.
It's the Andrew Tate phenomenon, right? Where people don't give a fuck about like what Andrew Tate may have done or may not have done, or all the shit that he has definitely done, right? And care more about like, perceived hypocrisy. Usually, they care more about that than anything else. So I don't really.
I think there's a Norm Macdonald clip about that. It was very good.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what the hell they're talking about. I mean, if they're talking about how, like, people's opinions change over time and they should be allowed to change and stop being called hypocrites, I'm for that. I think that's a lot of the problem with the internet. Is a lot of people, they make an opinion and then they get feedback. If it's negative, they're just like, okay, you're not allowed to change your opinion now. It's fucked up. That's fucked up. People change constantly. My opinion on the Israel-Palestine conflict was flip-flopping back and forth constantly before I came to the conclusion that they both fucking suck.
I don't necessarily care about hypocrisy that much, but in terms of the hypocrisy of the matter, I can explain it to you.
And if I made that a public statement and I had like a large, fan base or like influence on social media, I would have been shit on every day. Especially if I flip-flopped. Can you imagine taking both sides constantly? Everyone would fucking hate you. But as an individual, as a person, you can do that in your mind all you want. But if you make it public, you're an awful human being that deserves to die. And I'm going to send you a million death threats. Like, what is that, dude? The internet is so fucked up sometimes.
Yeah. Sure.
Number one, so in terms of LGBTQ acceptance, right? Trans acceptance, queer acceptance, you find that to be, in the United States of America, in the wealthiest nation on earth, one of the most prosperous nations on the planet, to be, to a certain degree, like a fancy thing to advocate for, right?
I don't think that you have to be rich to advocate for LGBT acceptance.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying? Sorry.
No. What I'm simply saying is that LGBTQ representation in video games is oftentimes considered to be something that is like unnecessary. or something that is
You're
considered
talking
to
about
be
like in games?
in games,
Oh.
in facets of culture, in facets of media.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. It feels like it's inauthentic. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, wait, is there a positive example of LGBTQ representation that you can think of in mainstream media in recent years?
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
so I understand what the dynamic
So
is there.
did you play Final Fantasy 16?
I did not.
Oh my god, dude, I fucking there's a few things that I just don't understand. Final Fantasy and the Dark Souls games. I could give less of a fuck about Elden Ring or the Dark Souls games or Final Fantasy. Any of these like hardcore Asian video games that just have like shitty UIs and bad gameplay and stupid ass graphics. And they make every character Asian. You ever notice that? All the white people are Asian, all the black people are Asian. It just something about that just bothers me so much. It bothers me. It bothers me. I mean, you can't. There's not even an equivalent for like an American style. Like if you just made an Asian character American, or not American, white. It's not even an equivalent because Asians are basically white, just with like different eyeball shapes.
Oh my god. So they had a character in Final Fantasy 16. His name is
I don't like it. I don't like it. Something about not even just that. It's actually the gameplay and the UI that really bothers me. But just like the other thing on the side is just a weird thing that I can't stop thinking about.
Dion, and he was like the prince of an area. He was like the like person who could like channel Bahamut, right? And he was gay, and it was part of the story. And they actually blocked sale for that game in some places in the Middle East because Square Enix didn't want to censor the game for that reason. And I respected them a lot for that.
But that was, wait, they refused to block the game? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. Square Enix did not do
Yeah.
that.
And that was a good representation of like gay or trans.
Yeah, I think so. I really do.
Okay.
I think that whenever you create a character, that the character's personality, sometimes it feels like when characters are added into stories, especially if they have like an LGBT like lean to them, they can be turned into being like a one-dimensional, like I guess identification of that person. And it's like they make like an overt effort to talk about that and discuss it. And I feel like in a lot of times it can come off as patronizing or talking down to the audience.
Okay.
It feels very unauthentic to me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there are instances where there's like gay representation, trans representation that's like ham-fisted and just simply added on as
Yeah,
not
so.
not a necessary vehicle for narrative development, but instead simply for identity points, right?
Sure.
To do diversity. Okay, so not to get too lost in the sauce, we can get back to this part of the conversation in a second. But my point was that like that level of LGBTQ representation, it's for diversity, it's for marketing purposes. Usually, it's just like sometimes it can be shitty narrative devices, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. But a lot of people still get mad at it, right? A lot of
It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. Like if there's a side quest like in Spider-Man 2 where it's like, oh my gay boyfriend, how do I ask him out on a prom date? I mean, as long as it's a side quest and it doesn't really matter and I don't have to fucking do it, I don't really care. I don't care. Add the gay people on the side. I don't care. But don't make it a part of the main story. Don't change a character to be gay just for the sake of being gay. It has to actually fit.
a lot of people in the Western world still get mad at it. And for me in particular, there is a hierarchy of needs for and that all human beings respond to, all human beings exist under.
Is this like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or is this like
Yes,
something?
Maslow's hierarchy of
Sure,
needs
okay.
is appropriate, but like there's a higher standard because the Maslow's hierarchy of needs usually is under the confines of like at least a developed country, where a developed country that is not constantly being bombarded or victims of like colonial occupation.
Where the fuck is he going, dude? I feel like we're all over the place. Like first we're talking about, diversity in video games and now we're talking about like, the difference in cultures and all.
Point is that Palestinians are not inherently anti-gay or anti-trans or anything like that. There are gay Palestinians, there are trans Palestinians, both living in Gaza in historic
Is that true though? Is that true? I'd love to see it.
Palestine and also certainly outside of.
And you know what? You know what? It might be true. It might be. Because there's most of the people over there are kids. So who's really enforcing the law? Who's really doing shit over there? But I don't know. It is a part of the world where it is very common to hate gay people. And yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to see like firsthand though. Do they kill gay people over there?
Gaza.
Well,
The
is it
problem
against
is-
the law?
Yeah, let me look it up. Okay. That's interesting. Gay Palestinian Ahmed Abu Maria beheaded in West Bank. That's actually the more civilized part of Gaza. That's the right side of Gaza. That's detached from the left side, which is the Gaza Strip that has Hamas. So that's interesting. I didn't know they did that over there. friends remember a young gay Palestinian man who was murdered exactly 1 year ago in October 2022. What Israel media reported as an anti-gay hate crime and NPR investigation found. I don't know. It seems like gay people do get killed over there, but maybe it's not illegal. I think it's more common for, hate crimes towards gay people for sure because it is a less educated, less accepting of, you know, gay people type of thing. I don't know. I think they don't like gay people over there. I think this is just a case of Hassan being uh, a liar, where he just like throws out misinformation.
The problem is there is no time or space or opportunity for them to engage in queer liberation, let alone advocate for more representation in their artworks, for example, when they're too busy being bombed and destroyed and killed and ethnically displaced for 76 years under an
Yeah,
apartheid regime
yeah.
that is a settler colonial.
I agree. It's very hard to develop when you are constantly being fucked with, for sure. I think the Gaza Strip was honestly doing a lot better before the attack. Because this is a weird example, but I was on Snapchat and I go to like Snap Maps and then I go to Gaza and I click on it. They have a mall over there. Like it's a nice ass mall. It's got escalators, stores. Some guy was having a watch, like he had a watch. I'm sure it's completely gone now, but the people over there are doing okay before the attack. So I think definitely, definitely room to improve over time, but they don't really have the resources to improve. But if they stopped acting like fucking psychos and they actually, got a uniform government, then I'm sure things would be a lot better. But again, as Hassan's gonna say, I already heard him say this on Philip DeFranco, but he said like, oh, 50% of the people over there are kids. I totally agree with that. I think a lot of them are kids. So I think it's hard for kids to, reshape a government of terrorists. It's pretty hard.
Occupation.
Okay, real quick. You don't think that I support Israel, do you?
I don't, but I think
Okay,
that
good.
no, I don't think you support Israel, but I think you saying
No, I
that
don't.
like
Not at all.
Palestinians are immoral or evil or have an
I,
evil, antiquated culture or are
I do.
barbaric
I
is
think
not
that.
only ahistorical. What's up?
I do think that.
Yeah,
I mean, I
you're.
I think his main point was he doesn't care about the genocide over there, which is yeah. I mean, it's a world away. You don't know any of the people that are getting killed. You know, it is pretty easy to say you don't give a fuck because technically, I think most of us don't give a fuck. If we truly, truly gave a fuck, like if it was your mother over there getting bombed and you really had to go over there, you would go there. You would fucking go to the border and you'd fight to get her out of there. You know? If that was someone you loved over there that was about to get genocided, you would go there to help. But you don't care because technically we all don't really give a fuck. We all don't. Hassan doesn't care. He's grifting right now. This is what gets him views and money. It pays for his mansion. He doesn't really give a fuck about the Palestinian people. Sure, he'll say like, "Yeah, I support them," but like is he like, is he on the border handing out water? I don't think so. I don't think he's not letting any refugees into his house, is he? In his $1 million mansion.
I think
well,
you're
I
wrong.
don't. I don't. Oh,
Nobody really truly truly gives a fuck. It's just Asmongold said it out loud and people are upset.
I don't know,
Because he hasn't been outside. He doesn't socialize a lot and he doesn't really give a fuck.
man. Like, how can you be in support of a culture that tells people that they can't be who they want to be? Like, I mean, like, really, I mean, if I was advocating for what the laws were there, I would get banned for hate speech. How's that
Yeah,
acceptable?
I think you are misunderstanding what their culture is, what the Palestinian culture is, and you're also not setting the standard under the material conditions in which they.
Okay. Hassan just said that he doesn't hang on a second. You can't say that, oh, they're constantly being attacked, so there's no time for them to improve their culture. That's why they're so barbaric. And then when he says these people are pretty barbaric and they don't like gay people and they're pretty messed up legally and they're pretty fucked up. Like they kill people for bad reasons. And then all of a sudden, no, they don't. No, they don't. What are you talking about, dude? Pick a side.
Which they exist.
I don't
Like,
think that you can do that. So there are a
for
number of other
example,
countries.
for
Okay,
example,
well, Okay, let me go after this.
Okay, no, you go ahead. But I will give you more historically appropriate points in
Sure.
a second.
So basically, the reason why I don't like what they do is because it's based off of a religious theocracy. And so you can look at other religious theocracies in other
This
countries that
honestly
aren't being
might be
bombed.
a
And
a terrible video to react to because I have to constantly fact check this guy and I can't just listen. It's just so fucked. He's gonna bring up a bunch of articles. I'm gonna have to look up the same shit, and it's like this is just gonna be so much work. I don't even know if I want to react to this.
And the one commonality that they have is that they all suppress people's identity and they express their freedom of expression. And I think that any culture and any type of government that is derivative of a religion is fundamentally inferior. I think this is true with any book. It's true with Judaism. It's true with Christianity. It's true with Islam. It's true with Hinduism. I think it's
Mhm.
true with anything. And I find it to be very problematic that we're using these books as a guideline for like how to make laws when these
Yeah,
books actively encourage killing people for different types of identities. And obviously,
yeah.
like, I understand that there's like a huge spectrum of people that are part of
Maybe not Christian. I don't know if does Christianity tell you to kill people? I don't think it does. I think it says not to kill. But I think yeah, for sure, Christianity's pretty fucked up. Like there's something about like dating kids or something in the Bible, like the original text. And all the popes are a bunch of pedophiles, so there's something to that. I think Christianity. I don't know. I think religion in general can be a pretty good thing if if you uh if you you know really only take the good parts of it. Don't take the bad parts. Because I don't really have like a set religion, but I am religious. You know what I mean? Like I'm spiritual type of shit. Like I believe in treating others as you want to be treated. Just try to be nice. Don't be a dick. Like that's really like my whole belief system. Just try not to be a dick and enjoy yourself and just yeah, try to have a positive impact. Enjoy life, really. That's really all it is. That's really like that's my whole belief system. And I definitely think there's a god. I'm not entirely sure if he gives a fuck about Earth, but I mean, who knows? I don't know. Nobody does. That's the thing. So I really think the only religion you should have is what I just said, or Buddhism, the Buddha,
any culture. There's people that are way more progressive, people that are way less progressive. But what I see is that
or Scientology. Scientology's great.
I see countries that have laws that haven't been bombed, right? You look at like Saudi Arabia or like Dubai. A lot of these other countries still have the same types of expressions or same type of restrictions on the expression for LGBT. And I
Right.
find that to be
Yeah.
problematic and inferior. And I think that you could I want to make sure that this is very clear because like, I don't want you to think that this is something that's like oh, the brown people over there are wrong.
I forgot about that. Like, yeah, the people, like the countries that aren't getting bombed are also pretty fucked up. It's- and that's because they base their laws on religion. That's what it is. It's really what it is. They fucking enforce a book that was written thousands of years ago. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? You're following rules that were set thousands of years ago, and you're still like, you're not a successful country. You're not like you still got a fucked up society. If it's broken, you got to fix it. This isn't a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No, dude, your country, you're still living in the dirt. Like, come on, build some roads, get a better education. They're pretty fucked up over there.
I would say the exact same thing for us, like the church, like Christianity. Like if you look at, for example, like Salem witch trials, it's disgusting. It's horrible. So all I'm saying is that I think that there is a standard that's being applied, and I don't really understand how that's defensible at all. I don't like, and that's what doesn't make sense to me. Is
It's
that,
not.
like, okay,
It's
well, go ahead.
not.
Yeah, go ahead.
But here's the problem.
Okay.
It's not defensible, but I think most people, including like the
Yeah.
gay Palestinians or queer Palestinians or queer Lebanese people,
Sure. Anything.
understand
Maybe there's definitely some queer Lebanese, whatever I forgot. Lebastinian. It's Lebanon, but what do you call their citizens? Lebastinians. That's such a weird fucking word. But I really don't like this narrative that he's saying. Oh, there's a bunch of actively proud gay people marching the streets of Palestine. There's not.
that there is no room for
Let me look at this up real quick. Watchdogs. These are all American. None of these are in Palestine. There's not a single gay person in Palestine, dude. That's not true. But there's no like, there's not. It's not like celebrated like it is here. Ooh, what's this?
A Palestinian originally from Jordan who remains anonymous, tells I-24 News about fleeing from home after his family discovered he's gay.
They handcuffed me, they blocked my eyes, they put me in a car,
Oh my God.
and finally I find myself in the border. I find myself in the border between Jordan and Israel.
Hassan. Hassan. This was one Google search, you fucking idiot. Not even it was a YouTube search, dude. I looked up West Bay Pride Parade and automatically this is what I'm finding. Are you kidding me, dude?
And they just kicked me out.
He soon found himself in a no-win situation.
When I did arrive to the West Bank, I find myself in the Palestinian jail. So
I-24 News English. News is a 24-hour news television channel created by the journalists and reporters from Israel. Okay. So, I mean, this is an Israeli news station, so it is entirely possible that it is propaganda, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. It's definitely possible. Take that with a grain of salt. We'll take both sides with a grain of salt. Got to, stay down the middle.
For advocating for
There's so much propaganda on both sides too, dude. It's so fucked up. According to you ask both sides what each side is doing, and they're talking about like they're putting babies on bayonets and throwing them in ovens. It's like they both say that to each side. It's crazy.
for civil liberties in your own domestic policies when you are escaping bombing
So
campaigns.
I see your point,
So
but do you
this
see
is
my
the
point?
reason.
That,
This is the
sorry,
reason
go ahead.
why so many of these countries,
Mhm.
whether it be Iran, whether
Yep.
it be Afghanistan, whether it be Egypt, or many of these places that were far more liberal from Western standards, from the Western understanding of like social liberalism, multiple decades ago, before Western intervention, are no longer as socially liberal as they once were.
Talking
Because
about like the 1917 Iran thing, basically?
not 1917, but yes,
Or it's
circa
1979,
1950s.
excuse me. Yes, sorry.
And when you look at the history of these countries, and not to say that like I don't personally think that Saudi Arabia deserves to be annihilated for having a religious theocracy. I don't personally think Israel deserves to be.
For sure, but like I think they definitely needed to like change that shit. Like something needs to happen. Not genocide, not death, but like, some shit needs to happen, I think. And, the only way, governments really change is through death. So, I don't know. There's no real there's no solution that's going to be peaceful, I don't think. Unless they go for the long haul and somehow they have like a really good democracy that'll let the people vote for what they want. But, it's a religious society that bases all their laws on religion, so odds are that people have no say.
Be annihilated for operating within like liberal confines, but still maintaining a religious theocracy that is baked into now their constitution.
Do you
Israel,
think that I support that?
no, I don't think you support that either.
Okay.
But oh wait, well, in terms of the Palestinians, I think the quote was that inferior cultures deserve to be wiped out.
Oh, I don't know about that. I feel like anytime you're killing people based off of anything like that, I don't think that Israel or America or anybody has the right to come in and tell Palestine how to live and for them like what they're supposed to do. Right? I'm not trying to tell them what to do, but if you want me to accept their culture as being equivalent to ours, I won't do that.
I don't remember him saying that they need to be wiped out because they have a different culture. I think he just said that he doesn't care if they get genocided. So he said he doesn't care if these people are dying. He just doesn't care about their situation because they're shitty people, in his opinion. Which I mean is kind of wrong because you're generalizing the people. But this is all just an argument of people saying like, "Why don't you care? You should care." There's people out there that just don't fucking care, and you got to accept that they don't care because they're living their lives. They're day-to-day people. I mean, this guy's not day-to-day and he's not living his life, so I don't that's why it's probably so fucking upsetting for people. I watched this video where he was talking about his filth and he's like, "I used to let a rat wake me up. When the sun would hit it, the room would smell and that's when I would wake up. That's my alarm clock, a dead rat." It's like, "You're fucking disgusting, dude." You're so gross.
Okay,
And I do think that it's worse.
okay, but culture, you understand that culture changes throughout time, and it is directly a consequence of like how people or what people
Talk about inferior cultures. That's insane. He's so gross. You know, he by his own standards is an inferior person.
are experiencing in the United
Well,
States
I
of
think
America.
we're evidence of that. We're evidence of that because like we're
Yes.
much farther along.
So
Yeah, I
so
think a
do
lot
you
of places
think
are much farther.
like I don't think you would agree that bombing places makes them more tolerant to
Absolutely not.
yeah.
Honestly, dude, I think being a very successful well, here's the thing. After World War II, US became the number one superpower in the world because most other countries were pretty fucked up. The Soviet Union was gone, Japan was gone, fucking Germany was gone. It was like a lot of the production and even China was really fucked up. They got fucked up in World War II. So like all the other countries were focused on rebuilding and there was only one really large fucking country that was left to mass produce and just absorb all of the income and build alliances and all that. It was literally World War II that put America like on the map and gave us the ability to be the number one country in the world. Like sure, we have great location, we have great uh economics, maybe not anymore, but we had great economics, great production. It was like so many things that accumulated to America being as successful as it is now. And it's slowly deteriorated over time because, you know, countries like the USSR, not the US, what is wrong with me? Countries like Russia, countries like China, and other countries that are anti-US, you know, they're like kind of having their comeuppance because you know they're fully rebuilt, and now it's like a time of you know they're coming together themselves. There's like a I don't know what it's called, the brick the brick something. There's a new dollar that Russia and China and a bunch of other countries are using, and it's slowly eliminating the US dollar, the USD currency. Like it's making the US dollar less valuable all around the world, which is it's literally, you know, fucking over this country quite a bit. And yeah. So the more allies we lose with Donald Trump, by the way, because Donald Trump is super anti NATO for some reason, the more alliances we lose, the more income and value we lose as a country. So this country is going down the shitter. But I think the fact that we had such an amazing country for such a long period of time is the reason that you know we're so progressive because we just had nothing better to do than to fucking you know talk about gender and make movies and fuck each other. You know, like there's like nothing to do around here other than that because we're not struggling. No one's living paycheck to pay. Well, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, but like nobody's nobody's dying on the street like they are in India. You know what I mean? That's the other country I was thinking of. India, China, and Russia. They're all like coming together to make a. Wait, no, isn't India and China? I don't know. Whatever. Let's get back into the video.
Yeah. Okay. And
Absolutely not.
I don't think that you think that like nuking America, for example, circa 2013 when gay marriage was
We're not going to bomb the gay into them. I understand that.
okay.
You're totally right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
in terms of
We're gonna drop a gay bomb, baby, on them. A gay bomb on them, baby. Gay bomb, baby. Gay bomb. What is? I think Alex Jones said it right. Gay bomb.
in terms of some of your statements,
Yeah.
like not only I think you're wrong on the history of queer culture in
The history.
Arab countries, in Muslim nations in general. I'll give you one example. The Ottoman
Sure.
Empire actually decriminalized homosexuality in the Tanzimat era. I think it was like 18th century.
Dude, you'd be shocked how many people were gay back then. Apparently, the Ottoman Empire was gay. The Romans were pretty gay. The Spartans were gay. Everyone was gay back then. Crazy.
And before
But you know who wasn't gay? Um, the Persians. It was like during the Battle of Hell's Gate, right? The 300 battle. That you know, they would look over and see all the Spartans rubbing oil on each other, and it's like these people are gay. We're gonna crush them in battle, and then they get there and they get completely fucked up.
then, it was not even like a problem. It was never an issue. Far before Western nations ever actually, decriminalized or made it legal to be gay. And this is oftentimes a not really mentioned aspect of the Muslim world or Muslim culture or the Arab history or the region's history at all. Most people
Yeah.
don't know this, and it's like genuinely shocking to them. You might maybe even be shocked to find out that the Ottoman Empire, where Palestine was seen as a safe haven for Jews as they were escaping the Spanish Inquisition, for example, and many other pogroms that Jewish people experienced in, especially in Western and Eastern Europe. The Ottoman Empire in the MENA region, all the way that spans to Morocco, was seen as a safe haven and safe harbor for Jews, where they were allowed to coexist in far better conditions.
I think that back then it wasn't just the
gonna
fact that they were
read the
accepting of yay.
fucking
I think that they were way more
history book.
scientifically oriented. They were way more focused on learning and mathematics. I think that's evidently true. I don't think anybody would say the Ottoman Empire was shitty or anything like that. I think they were very progressive for their time.
Yeah.
It's not even a
Yes.
question.
You know why they were so progressive? Because they were a big fucking deal back then.
So
I totally agree with you.
but things have changed in the region since then.
They sure have.
So what is
Yeah.
the
When you're the number one superpower in the world, all you have to do, all you have is just free time to think about gay shit. It's true, dude. Everyone's gay with enough free time, I think. Look at prisons. Give it enough time, you'll be gay.
what do you think is the difference there? Like, what do you think has happened in the hundreds of years that have passed, that have gone by, or especially in the last 100 years?
That's probably why most people are gay right now. Not most. Well, there's like a large unemployment thing going on right now with a lot of people my age. There's a lot of people my age who are like watching a lot of trans porn. Like trans porn has like really been skyrocketing lately. And I think that's because a lot of people are unemployed. And what does that leave you? Tons of free time. Free time equals gay. That's what I think.
Why has the attitude overall in terms of governance changed so dynamically and so dramatically?
I think there's probably a bunch of different reasons for it, right? I mean, it's not like one reason, but I don't think that are we trying to imply that it's like American imperialism and interventionism that's caused this to happen? Is that kind of like where you're
Absolutely.
going with
No,
this?
I am saying
Yeah.
that America not only directly armed
Yeah.
and radicalized fundamentalists in the region, including but not limited to Afghanistan, for example, with the Mujahideen, because they were seen as like a fighting force that they could use against the communist adjacent Afghan.
Back to the gay thing real quick. Not even just people my age. I think COVID is when that happened. I remember it was during COVID. There was like like Pornhub did like a video where they were like all the top categories and trans porn was like went from like 15 to top 5. It was crazy. It was definitely COVID. COVID gave a lot of people free time and that's what they did with it.
Afghan government or the USSR inevitably when the USSR did invade. But also beyond that, the most nationalistic or the most militant fundamentalists were perceived in Iran, for example, as the true liberators that were not willing to fight against the Western.
This is so fucking annoying because I just don't want to hear him read off of like what is he doing? He's just reading off of Google. Not even Google. He's probably got like a spreadsheet of just information.
For the time as well, wanted to nationalize their own extraction industries, and this was seen as a massive slight. Right? That's an extreme case. I think that they deserve
I agree
healthcare.
with you. I agree with you, and I would even go farther than that. I think that if somebody's an illegal immigrant, I don't think that we should ever tell. I think it's disgusting to tell a doctor or tell a healthcare provider to let somebody die or to let them bleed out or something like that just because of that. I completely agree with you. I had to pay my taxes recently. I'm sure you're probably about in the same place. It was 7 figures, and so I have no problem
Well, I
with
live in
that.
California. Is pretty
You got a
significant.
bet. Yeah, it's
But I don't
not
care.
good.
I don't
And
mind
so
that.
I don't either. I used
Asmongold is a fucking millionaire. And he says he's not, but he is.
to be paying for people.
And he lives in filth, dude. Lives in fucking filth. Get a bigger house. He has enough money. Get a different house. I think his mom died in that house, and that's why he's not like cleaning it. Get a new house, dude. You have money. Fucking move your shit.
People used to pay for my
Clean your fucking room. Get a bigger room.
food stamps. Now I'm paying for somebody else's. And if
Yeah.
they raise my taxes to pay for Medicare for all, I would be happy and I would vote for that.
So if you
I would be
understand
very
that,
much in
right?
support of that,
So
for sure.
so you recognize that. Would you say that like a religious enclave in Alabama, for example, deserves to be wiped out for their understanding of like gay people, like a white religious enclave
Oh,
in Alabama?
Absolutely not. I
Okay.
don't think that they deserve to be wiped out, but I would not advocate for them. I would not look at that group and say, this is a group of people that I support.
So you
Hey,
can
I would
understand where the
not
confusion
support
comes
them.
from.
This is his whole point. Asmongold's not saying he's pro-genocide. He's just saying he doesn't give a fuck about genocide. Which is like not really a bad it's not a take, but it's not some kind of take that warrants, a ban and everyone to send him death threats. Like he just says he doesn't give a fuck. which comes from probably a place of ignorance, but also a place from like, desensitization. Is that how you say the word? He's desensitized. So am I. I mean, you spend enough time on the internet, especially Twitter. Holy fuck. It's just everything on Twitter is just like bots, porn, death. That's constant death. And at a certain point, when do you just go, I don't really give a fuck anymore? I mean, I try to avoid Twitter because of that, because I don't want to desensitize myself that much. But like, I can definitely see how, like, I watch a lot of Donut Operator. I watch a body cam video of people getting killed. I don't really give a fuck. I really don't. I don't. It rarely bothers me. Like that one lady who threw boiling water and got shot, that bothered me quite a bit. But like rarely do I see a body cam video and I get like, "Oh no." You know? Unless it's like some really fucked up shit.
From when you
and I can
said that
see
about
that.
Palestinians,
That's why I
right?
wanted to. Yeah, sure, right, sure, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, right? Because I think that you and I we had a conversation about this before.
Maybe I need to like go out, socialize more. That shit should bother me. It shouldn't it? It should bother me.
And I can very much easily empathize with Palestinians. Of course I can. But I don't think that it's entirely true that Palestine, like, I mean, didn't Palestine support Hitler? Pretty
No,
sure they did.
Okay.
no.
The man
What?
of Palestine supported
What you're talking about is
Well, Hassan says no. Now we gotta fucking Google it.
One foundation of such collaborations was the anti Semitism of the Nazis, which was shared by some Arab and Muslim leaders, most notably the exiled Palestinian leader, something something.
So a Palestinian leader was pro Nazis, but he was exiled from something. I don't know. So I guess, again, 50-50. We don't know the full facts. Again, there's so much propaganda on both sides that it's impossible to say what truly happened and what didn't happen.
the British colonial British colonial occupation put forward a leader. Oftentimes in colonies, when you engage in like colonial actions, like and British Mandate Palestine was obviously a colony of the English, they will appoint a person into a position of power that is more acceptable to British needs and desires in the region to dominate the people. This is, I mean, history is riddled with examples such as this one. The Palestinian Grand Mufti was a singular person who went and linked up with Adolf Hitler,
Yep.
and thought that he could coordinate with Adolf Hitler in terms of like ridding Palestine of the Jews. Having said that, however,
Ah.
11,000.
and that sounds pretty good.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I completely forgot. Palestinians don't like Jewish people. So it makes sense if they would be pro Nazis.
Dad.
It does. But
yeah.
when you realize that one, there were also Jewish militias,
Definitely not all of them, by the way. Not all of them.
early Zionist militias that also
What did
sought
I
out
just press? Why is there captions on?
Adolf Hitler's help and tried to coordinate with Adolf Hitler. You understand that this has no bearing on an entire people and what their actual attitudes were.
Right.
Not only that, but also 11,000
Just like every German in Germany was not a Nazi back then. Same thing. Can't generalize a population ever.
Palestinians actually fought alongside the Allied forces against Adolf Hitler. So Palestinians, by far greater numbers, actually fought against Adolf Hitler than the one British occupation guy that actually linked up with Adolf Hitler. It's actually a common historic Holocaust revisionist talking point that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once famously utilized as well, where he falsely claimed that Adolf Hitler did not want to kill the Jews until he talked to the Palestinian Grand Mufti, who gave him the idea of killing the Jews and doing the final solution. This was such a gross historical
That is so fucked up. There's no way that
revisionist talking point that obviously the entirety of it.
did Netanyahu really say that? That's so fucked up. Oh my god, I'm so sick of googling shit, dude.
Israeli society actually criticized Benjamin Netanyahu for saying such
But
a
he did
ridiculous.
want to get rid of the Jews, though, right?
Yeah, but it's a singular
Okay.
person that has no bearing on real Palestinian existence, especially when much larger numbers of Palestinians fought alongside the Allied forces, right?
I think that it definitely does matter if a figurehead of a country is supporting Hitler. I
It's
think
not a
it
figurehead of a
does.
country, though. It's the figurehead. It's an appointed person
And
that
that's
has
the
no
thing.
bearing.
And
For example,
don't you feel like it's a bit unfair for you to attribute every instance of bigotry and bad behavior to being the West's fault?
no, I
At
think I
what
have a
point
very
are-
realistic. I have a very realistic and materialist analysis of these sorts of things, where I think
Shut up. I have a very realistic and based opinion about the West. No, you don't. Everything you say is anti-West. I hate America. I hate America. Why are you living in it? You fucking moron.
that people don't have time to fight for gay liberation when, like I said, they're too busy trying to literally rebuild their homes after it's bombed, especially by a force that doesn't have like automatic heat-seeking missiles that avoid gay people. You know what I mean? They're
It's just so insane that he's like so anti-America that he's like living in it. It's crazy. Go live. Where's Logan Paul living to get cheaper taxes? Go live there. Was it Cuba or something? Like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you here? Why the fuck are you still here?
killing gay people and trans people in Gaza.
Go to Mexico. Go to Canada. Go to fucking I don't know, Greenland. Go anywhere else but America if you're so anti-West.
Every fucking day. Like, there is no, like, gay liberation is not
It
a
just
real
bothers me so
conversation here. It's
much.
just a mere talking point that a lot of people who defend Israel, not saying you do, but a lot of people who defend Israel try to repackage Israel's violence and contextualize it and make it seem more appropriate to an American audience that is sometimes pro-gay and pro-queer. It rarely ever works. A lot of queer people still don't give a shit. They're like, I don't care. Just stop killing these people. Is their attitude.
You think if I slowed him down, he'd sound dumber? Because that's what he does. He talks fast to sound smart.
So
Oh yeah.
that's it. That's the reality of the matter, is that once Palestine is liberated, then they can have this conversation internally. But right now, Western forces are allowing the death and destruction of this people to continue.
What do you think
What do you? It's like they're high.
the odds are that
What
after
do you think the odds are that aliens are up there? Oh fuck!
this stops happening, that the
Pressing
Palestinians are going
buttons.
to get together and say that it's okay to be gay?
I don't know, because I can't even imagine a world where this death and destruction isn't constant. But I would say that just like in the United States of America, you know, people inevitably evolved, inevitably fought back, and
what do you think? I've actually
created
got a really good
an
question.
environment for queer liberation, even though
Sure.
to this day there are still a shit ton of problems that especially trans people experience on a regular basis.
Oh, I mean, it to me, I'm sure you're on Twitter probably more than I am.
I'm not.
And so, really?
Yeah, I deleted it off
Oh really?
my
What?
phone. I rarely go on it unless I'm live.
Nick did the same thing. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. Well, okay. I'm on Twitter
Probably after Hassan was getting bullied for his misinformation.
a lot. How much more racist do you think that it's gotten, and like homophobic do you think it's gotten in the last like 2 years? I think it's like 500x.
It's actually crazy Hassan's not on Twitter because he's the most Twitter human being there is.
Right?
Yes.
Like it's insane. It's crazy, and I think that it's just it just keeps getting worse too. And I'm curious, like, kind of what your viewpoint is, because we're talking about like kind of how like these different cultures are accepting people, and like now, what do you think about like Saudi Arabia and like the way that they're like, I guess, effectively sports washing things? I think that's the term that's being used a lot, right, with like esports, etc. Like, what's your take on that?
I think that Saudi Arabia is also a religious theocracy that is simply trying to moderate their viewpoint in an effort to become more accepted by Western culture and bring in Western capital into the country. Ultimately, if they did become a queer safe haven, for example, overnight, there's still plenty of issues in Saudi society in terms of utilizing slave labor, in terms of death and destruction that befalls like indigenous populations in areas where they want to do building projects, and beyond that, there is the whole genocide in Yemen. A lot of these things can be solved inevitably, and there was some initiative from China that brought Iran and Saudi Arabia to the table to stop the destruction of Yemen, for example. That was relatively successful pre-October 7. But like,
all this stuff is just flying over my head. Nothing is really being said. I don't care.
It's mandatory now to teach the Bible in Oklahoma.
Yes. So
you saw that?
Yeah, I did. So you understand that those are people, some of which are genuine like religious zealots, and others.
This is so fucking boring. Listening to him talk is just like,
who are simply utilizing religion as a galvanizing factor to be like, see, I'm a religious person, right? Like,
I think
people have different aspirations. People have different motivations for why they advocate for certain things. Okay, so that very
I think
same
that's
principle,
very common. That people use religion as a tool to like kind of enable that type of behavior.
Great. So herein lies the problem.
Dude, do we spin in circles on the same fucking thing over and over for 3 hours? Are you kidding me?
That very same principle exists in the Muslim world, which is endlessly diverse. And
how does this sound any different than fucking 20 minutes ago?
There are, it's the fastest growing religion. It is. I think it might have actually overtaken Christianity.
You notice the red line on his forehead? Look at that.
In terms of numbers. And
I think it's 1.6 billion now. That's
and yes, religious governance differs.
It also looks like it goes down. It's like he's wearing someone's face.
From country to country. I'm Turkish. I come from a country that is nowhere near as fundamentalist. It's supposed to be secular. Obviously, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is very similar to Donald Trump in terms of how he utilized Islam to make himself to give himself a more prominent role in Turkish society. Was able to both bastardize religion and also simultaneously use it for social repression, social oppression, and cultural repression.
I think I might end the video. I don't really nothing's really being done. He's kind of like walking back his point a little bit, but really keeping the same spot. He doesn't really care. It is what it is. He's just talking. He isn't even trying to be entertaining. Like I haven't heard one screech from Hassan. Not one. You know, I want to hear that. I want to hear him screech. Not one, dude. He's not having fun. He's not getting angry. He's not getting excited. It's just fucking boring. He's reading off of a list of talking points that he has on another monitor, and that's all it is. I'm just history lesson in like 50-50 misinformation.
that dominates every aspect of their lives. Whereas you and I, myself included, were born in the United States of America.
Dude, this is literally we're an hour farther in and he's still talking about like, depending on oh, if you're born here, you're better. If you're born there, you're not. And they're flip-flopping back and forth.
And therefore, we have a tremendous amount more freedom in terms of in terms of
Dude, oh my god. This is he already made this point. And then remember when he made this point and then he walked it back immediately and changed his mind? I don't think I want to watch this anymore.
what we believe, what kind of opportunities we want to pursue, and
Because we don't live in a religious theocracy, because that would be worse.
no, it's
It's
not.
true.
There is no intractable quality of
That's true, dude. If we lived in a world where the Bible was the law instead of a fucking what is it called? Fucking hell. I'm thinking economic. What is it called? We live in a capitalist society, dude. That's the reason that we're doing so good. And Hassan is against that. He's so anti-capitalism. He's very pro communism. So he won't admit that living in a world where the laws are based off of a Bible or the Quran, whatever the fuck the Muslim version of the Bible is. If you base all of your rules in society and economics off of a fucking book that was written 1,000 years ago, you're going to be less advanced than a country that is using capitalism. That's his point. He's against that. He won't say it because his audience is retarded and they're all a bunch of fucking, I don't know, stupid people that are fucking pro communism.
in terms of what we believe,
Bunch of American teenagers that are pro communism that are stupid.
what kind of opportunities we want to pursue,
Because
and
we don't live in a religious theocracy, because that would be worse.
no, it's not. There is no intractable quality of people born under a religious theocracy. Like no one
He's just avoiding saying the words. Capitalism is not as good as a religious theocracy.
if you were to talk to regular
The
Saudi,
individuals,
regular
the
Saudi citizens or regular citizens from Qatar or regular
Yeah.
citizens from Dubai, there are plenty of people who don't like that form of governance, who want something to change, who want to change their governments so that they can live free lives in the same way that
Yeah.
Americans, to a certain degree, in comparison to those other countries, can live freely and express themselves sexually. Even though there is plenty of setbacks here in modern America as well towards trans people, for example. And the only difference is where they were born, and I don't think that that is a sentence of
I agree with that. I agree. There's no difference between human beings. We're all of us have a default mode, and it's when we're babies. We're all default. We're default human beings, just ready for information and an upbringing. You know, some of us are smarter than others. We learn faster than others. Some of us learn slower than others, like Hassan's audience. And there's no difference. We're all default human beings, but it depends on where we're born that, builds us up to be what we are. If you're born in Palestine, you're going to be a terrorist. Not all of them, not all of them, but I mean, it's would you rather starve on the street and you know, keep getting hit with mortars or whatever the fuck, missiles, or would you like to join Hamas, get an AK-47, start getting regular meals? You're living in a tunnel now, so you don't ever have to worry about getting hit by a fucking missile. I would join Hamas if I was in Palestine. It's a way better life,
that automatically means that they're immoral people. I do not make my
especially if I grew up with zero education and I'm 16. I would definitely become a Hamas terrorist for sure.
assumptions about an entire
But I'm not, and I would never do that because I'm an American right now. But if I was over there and I was born there and I was raised there, that's literally what would happen.
region of the
You
planet.
have to admit that. Sometimes people just can't admit that shit. No, no, I'm a morally good human being. Maybe that's because you were born in America.
Just by the nature of where they were born. I talk to people as they're human beings.
If
as
you took
individuals.
everybody that was in China and you put them in a random place, what do you think the laws would be like? Do you think they'd be like Chinese laws?
What do you mean?
No.
Like where? Like if everyone in China was born in the
yeah.
United States of America,
Yeah.
I think that
Oh.
the American governance would be exactly the same. It's entirely dependent on the material conditions, and dependent on geology, dependent on your.
I mean, if everyone born in China was born in the U.S., like even the political people in China were born in the U.S. and all the people in the U.S. were born in China, I think maybe it would swap. There's like a 50-50 chance. There's no guarantee on that, but it's possible. But that's like a huge, like, if everybody was born over there, I don't know.
Your natural resources, like I don't know how much more they would differ, but if a shit ton of
That's a weird hypothetical.
Chinese people immigrated into the United States of America, for example, as they have, yes, they would become Americanized, as is the case with undocumented migrants, for example. There are plenty of studies conducted on this as well. We can talk about that too if you want.
I think so that's a good point, but I also think that whenever you've had large contingencies of people from other cultures that come into, like, let's say the UK, they have tried to push for other laws. They have tried to change the laws there. They absolutely have.
What do you mean?
About like people pushing for new laws?
Like in terms of what? Like,
in terms of how people can express themselves, in terms of how people can act in public? Yes.
Dude, the UK is really fucked up. I'm not going to get into it super heavy, but like I just learned about this a few months ago. Apparently they have like restrictions on people on where they can drive. Like your license plate lets you only go to a certain area. Like you live in a district. They split up all of the UK into like districts, and if you drive your car to a new district, you get charged money for that. So, like imagine in America if you wanted to drive to a different town and you would have to pay money every single time you do that. And it's all about like emissions or something, cuz like, people have to cut back on the gas output, which is ridiculous because the UK, the US, and Canada and maybe other fucking countries that are in NATO, they're all planning on global warming, by the way. Like this is a publicly known thing, but not a lot of people talk about it. They're planning on global warming. Like they've released documents, they've talked about it publicly. They have a plan ready for when all of the ice melts and the countries and all of it is fucked. Like the US and Russia are now going to be sharing a land border basically. Not really, but like, they're going to be pretty fucking close now. And I don't know, dude. It's disturbing. It's fucking insane. They're planning on global warming, dude. So anytime somebody's like, "Oh, global warming, we're working on it." No, we're not, dude. There's a plan in motion to not have that shit work. So at this point, I don't give a fuck. Taylor Swift can fly from her living room to her kitchen, and I would not care because at this point, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. The governments have completely given up on global warming.
What I'm saying is that there have been a lot of instances where people that have come from another country that come into a new country make the new country like their old country. I think that's what would make sense.
Is there an example of this in modern history or in any time in American history at all?
What is?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
An example is that. So I live in Austin, Texas, and I can drive over to other parts of Austin, Texas that are a lot closer to Mexico than they are like America. They have Spanish names, and there's a bunch of people there because a lot of those people came from another culture. Absolutely.
Wait,
I think that's the same everywhere.
Texas is probably the worst example of this because like
ass
the,
hurts,
the
dude.
war.
Well, no, because
Like the
Texas,
border and
the border
everything?
across them is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah,
common
sure.
sentiment is in general. But in terms of like Texas culture, I mean Texas. Here, I'll give you actual data on this. Right, studies are
Sure.
conducted on this stuff all the time. There's always a new group of migrants that are coming from a specific part of the world, whether it's because they're like economic refugees, economic migrants, or if they're like escaping.
Dude, this chair I have, when I got it, I looked at the reviews and they said everything is good about it. It's good. It's good quality. It's good fucking, it's durable. It's all that. It's good. It's a good chair. But the one negative was that it's uncomfortable. And one of the reviews was like, it hurts my ass after sitting for an hour. And I was like, I got a fat ass. I'm fine. I'm thick. I got a big booty. My luscious ass is gonna keep me fine because I've got cheeks. And I was like, okay. I got it. I'm sitting in it, and it hurts my ass after an hour. This is a terrible chair, and it hurts.
Being war or
I said now I said that I have a fat ass and I'm thick. I got a big booty. I'm assuming people are gonna think I'm overweight now. And I want you to know I'm 6'5", size 15, and I'm athletic as fuck, and I would outrun you in a minute.
some kind
Yeah.
of like political struggle in their
Don't be jealous just because I got some cheeks and you don't.
on the home front, right? And whenever there's always dare I say violent resistance to that, and the qualities of that violent resistance, like that immediate reaction, doesn't necessarily change until they become a part of the in group. A great example I can give you is the Irish, for example, or the Italian migration
Yeah.
that has occurred in the United States of America. Similar attitudes were demonstrated towards Italian people or Irish people. Oh, they're changing the
look,
culture.
bro, like there are so many redneck, like Hispanic people here. The super Republican, yes,
Yeah.
and they are the ones that are always about build the wall. Yes,
Yeah.
no, I totally.
That is so funny. You know what, dude? I have a Mexican friend, and I remember I sent him a video of like, the immigrants over the border, and they're like getting ready to sleep in a school, and there was this white mom who's like, "Get out of our country! Get out of our country! They shouldn't be here!" And these like families are all funneling into a middle school to sleep, and she was super angry, and I sent that to my friend who's Mexican, and he's a first generation American. His parents are hardcore Mexicans. He still goes back to Mexico to visit his grandma. So he's Mexican. And I sent this to him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, fuck those people. They shouldn't be here." And I'm like, "What, dude? What are you talking? That's you. You should be sleeping in a middle school, you fuck." And I'm like, "Dude, that's literally you. Why are you saying that they shouldn't be here? You shouldn't be here by those standards at that point." And he's just like, he was joking, but his parents actually believe like that's what they would say. These people who came to America illegally and they had a kid so they could stay. They came here illegally. They could be deported at any minute. Are here and they have those opinions of people who are coming here over the border through Biden. I just think that's funny.
Totally, you're completely right.
Okay, so they
course that
become
happens.
Americanized, and there's data for this as well. So the data shows that
Oh, it
by
happens
the
and it
second
doesn't happen.
generation, the data shows that by the second generation, regardless of where people are coming from, whether it's Guatemala, whether it's Mexico, whether it's a Latin American country or Norway, by the second generation or China, Americans assimilate almost completely. And by the third generation, they have completely assimilated. And there are examples of this around you that you can probably point to. People that are maybe 2 generations removed from being fresh off the boat, or 1 generation removed from being fresh off the boat, that are impossible to associate with anything but American culture. The people
We had in my high school, we had a lot of Eric Hernandez's.
Yeah, so
I
What the fuck? Isn't that the guy who killed someone because he had CTE?
totally understand what you're saying.
That is what I mean when I say, like, most people that come from other cultures that are deemed inferior or declared different ultimately do end up assimilating to the culture of the country that they immigrated to.
Well, 2 generations later,
generation by
same
generation,
people.
that changes rapidly.
Well, I mean, you're talking about like, the way that one person is, like 2 generations later. Of course, I'm not going to be like my grandfather. I'm sure you're not either.
Yeah.
Of course, people change over time. But
Yeah,
I'm
so
saying that if you take people from a culture, those are going to be their values. That is their value.
Dude, my grandpa was a cop. I think he served in World War II. And that fucker, I used to be so proud of him. I was like, "Oh, he was a cop. He was in World War II. He was a good guy." And I learned recently that he was a dirty fucking cop. Like he fucking, I'm not gonna go into specifics, but like my grandpa. Did I say my grandpa or my great grandpa was a cop and he fought in World War II. My grandpa, his son, uh, he committed a crime, dude. He committed a fucking crime, an assault, not a rape, by the way, not a rape, an assault. He tried to choke somebody, and his dad was friends with the judge, and he got him off. Like he got his kid off for assault, for choking someone, trying to kill someone, basically. Like what the fuck, dude? That's crazy.
Values. Now, will that change over time based off of where they're at? Absolutely.
I fucking hate my great grandpa now. Like that really ruined it for me, dude. I found out he was a dirty cop. But I do have my other great grandpa who fought in World War II, made a newspaper, and he was a fucking badass. Like, sure, he was a drunk and he was like a little bit abusive to his wife, but like, he did some cool shit. He was born in Germany, left Germany, fought Germany, and he spoke 2 languages, and he made the newspaper because he he had a big machine gun and he killed a lot of people.
Of course it will. But
Okay.
it's not like a switch. It's not some like switch like somebody just comes over somewhere and they're just completely different.
Yeah, but
And so
ultimately, second generation, it changes. So like there
And then my great great I'm just fuck this video at this point. My great great uh my great 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 uncle, I think it's 3 great. Uncle, I think he's my uncle. Yeah, my great 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 uncle. Yeah, he fought in World War II as well, and he was a pilot, and he made his name's fucking Wolfgang Reitherman, one of the founders of Disney. And he fought in World War II. He was a pilot, got the rank of major, and he was a badass, dude. He fucking did a lot with his life. Cool fucking people in my past, my family.
their next of kin that is born on U.S.
yeah,
soil with the same rights and same responsibilities, like ultimately exhibit the exact same,
At this point, let's go towards the end.
the much larger party in this circumstance, me, did to the kindergartners.
I
What?
really hope that I hope that Palestine can be free. I don't think that what
From the river to the sea, kill those Jews.
I don't think it's going to go the way you think it will. I don't.
What do you mean?
I think that they're with continuing to control people with like religious fundamentalism. I think that's going to continue. I don't think that the moment that like they get out from under Israel, they're going to just like be okay with all these other types of like identities. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
But
but that's never happened, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like that's never
and
that's never even been able to be implemented in terms of like Palestinian history. So much so that there's never been a moment in Palestinian history where there's like any sort of sovereignty. So we can't make that. We
But
can't.
is that really um Israel's fault? What Hassan's trying to say is they don't have the ability to improve on their morals, beliefs because they get bombed all the time. And then he says, well, other countries get bombed, so why is what's their excuse? Like, I mean, there's no excuse. If you get bombed, you're homophobic. If you don't get bombed, you're homophobic. Like, it's both ways. That's basically what Asmongold's saying, and Hassan has no fucking rebuttal to that. And he'll flip flop both sides and say, oh, well, that's because they're getting bombed. Well, I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't know what the fuck he was saying, but Hassan is really he's a flip flopper. I don't know. I mean, I'm pro like changing your opinion over a course of time, but like literally in the same sentence, change your opinion is you're moving the goalpost.
Can't make that assumption because that has never even throughout
well,
Palestinian history ever existed.
I agree with you, and I think that I have an assumption. I think you also probably have an assumption, but I think that we both agree that it would be good to find out who's right.
I mean, sure,
Yeah.
but once again, regardless of there's two different things that I want to make very clear here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regardless of whether Palestinian people will, let's say tomorrow, Palestine is emancipated and they have full blown sovereignty, and
Yeah.
they decide to be religiously like very right wing, very fundamentalist. I still think that that is infinitely better than the current genocide that is going on. Would you agree with that?
Is it better? Well, I mean, like, wouldn't if they're going in there and they're killing other people instead, I could see arguments for being.
No. I'm saying like they are being very restrictive towards gay Palestinians. Let's say tomorrow Palestine is a sovereign state, and as a sovereign state tomorrow they're no longer being genocided. And in the when they are rebuilding, Palestine is a sovereign nation state.
Mhm.
They are
Mm.
very homophobic, very transphobic. They're like really harming gay people. And
Honestly, I don't think. I think the end of this conflict is going to be same as it was before, and it's going to lead to another attack, and it's going to lead to another war. Like this is it's going to be an ongoing thing. Israel, as long as it's under Netanyahu, is going to keep on doing the same thing, which is divide and conquer. They divide Gaza, or not Gaza. They divided Palestine to the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. All the radical people are in the Gaza Strip, and then all of the uh, other Palestinians are in the West Bank. And they've slowly, like, if you look at a map over the course of years, they've slowly been stealing land from the West Bank and making it a part of Israel. So, I mean, that's really what Israel's plan is, as long as they're under Netanyahu, is to just keep on stealing land and taking land and oppressing the people of the Gaza Strip. So, what does that breed? It breeds hate. breeds resentment, not resentment, resentment. The people of the Gaza Strip, they're definitely gonna keep going with Hamas, and Hamas is gonna keep on bombing and shooting and killing all the Israeli people, and the Israeli people are gonna keep fucking retaliating in self-defense, quote unquote, because I mean, their government is a piece of shit and doesn't really care about the citizens and is going to keep aggroing the Palestinian country and people. So that's really, it's just going to be same old by the time this thing ends. And it's just going to restart. Vicious cycle. There's no, one of them has to go, basically, is what it is. I'm sure Palestine, by the end of this thing, is going to be just Gaza Strip. And that's it. It's going to be that small little country, and then maybe 100 years after the West Bank is completely gone and is part of Israel, um, the Palestinian people will forget all about it. They'll forgive the Israelis. The borders will open, and there will be peace. That's probably what's going to happen.
And they're like
It's the only way it's going to work, honestly.
arresting them. I still think that, while still inappropriate, would be a far
That's way down the road too. That's like fucking like what 500 years from now. That's a long way away.
greater outcome than being completely wiped out and being completely genocided. I don't think that is going to be the outcome. But regardless, I want to make it very clear. I think that, yes, no genocide is better than, any
We're
kind
not
of
making a
genocide.
genocide tier list. I get that. I understand. That's all my point is that I agree with you. I just don't think that I don't like their culture either, right? I find it to be problematic as well. And that's
Okay.
why I
By the way,
struggle
the
to.
people that we were talking about in terms of Palestinians are like, they are some of the most educated per capita population in spite of everything else, just for the record. Like, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Palestinians are literally some of the most educated people on the planet, like per capita.
My ass. My fucking ass.
They
I
are,
hope so. I mean,
This is completely not true. How are you going to say that most Palestinians are children, and then you're going to say that the Palestinian people are smart? Maybe Palestinian foreign exchange students that are in other countries or were born in other countries that were Palestine before. I just don't believe that shit at all. West Bank Palestine, possibly, who knows? Maybe they have a great education system. I don't know, but I find that hard to believe.
no, I hope so. I mean, there's like,
okay, sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Palestinian educational attainment is in spite of
I'm not even going to look that up, dude. I just feel like that's bullshit.
being genocided by Israel, inside of like living under Israeli occupation, is incredibly high.
If I had to say what country had the smartest fucking people, it's either China or India. They got some smart fucking people. Not all of them. I'd say majority of people in India are pretty fucking dumb. But I think, the ones that shine the brightest among all of our people. Every human being. I think Indian people end up being the smartest fucking people.
They have a tremendous amount
yeah.
of they have obviously a tremendous amount of struggles and tremendous amount of hurdles to go through. But the
Which is weird because I don't think I would want my doctor to be Indian. I think I want my doctor to be an old white guy. I don't know why that is.
status of education in Palestine is that 96.3%
But if I wanted somebody to build a rocket ship, I'd want it to be an Indian guy.
of the population is literate.
And if I wanted somebody to do my taxes, I'd make it a Chinese. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
It's higher than like the high human development category average, as in Palestinian society as a whole is like has a higher literacy rating than developed nations.
That's really good. That's
And what does this mean? This means Hassan, who was making a point that the people of Palestine have such a fucked up culture because they're getting bombed constantly. That's why they're not able to improve on their acceptance of gay people. And then all of a sudden, oh no, wait, actually, Palestinian people have the highest literacy rate. They're the smartest people in the world, and they're great people. They're super duper fucking smart. Pick one, dude. Pick one.
great.
So
Like,
I don't think that these are the religious fundamentalists.
I can't listen to this anymore, dude. He's so fucking like it's just he flip flops. He flip flops constantly.
Is a blackmail, right? Well, because they can be punished and hurt for having those viewpoints. And so that's at least like my opinion on it. I don't know, and I don't like that culture. I do think that to a certain degree, every individual person is going to be different. But if you're looking at what a government does in the same way that people criticize like America and they're really criticizing the government, I think you can criticize Palestine or Saudi Arabia or any other country. And
I'm letting you know once again, there's no aspect of Palestinian quote unquote culture that revolves around like dominating gay Palestinians or anything like that.
So do you think that like at a certain point, where do you if it doesn't come from there, where did it come from?
What do you mean, homophobia in
Ooh.
general?
Yeah, where did
I think that yes, I think that religious social conditioning plays a role in uplifting bigoted attitudes towards people that are. Yeah, I know, but it's no different. The problem here is, it is.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, but I can't watch this. I can't. I can't. I literally can't. Hassan is lying. Make a point, and then immediately there's misinformation. He'll say misinformation, and then he'll make a point immediately. It's fucking insane. I can't handle it. It's too much for me. It's overloading my brain right now with the amount of stuff that he's saying that contradicts things that he said an hour ago and how he repeated himself over and over and over and over again for 3 hours and 30 minutes. I can't. This guy is driving me up a fucking wall. I can't. I literally cannot. Okay? So I'm sorry. We're going to skip to the end. I'll give my final points, but he's just reading articles off screen, no fact checking. That's it. I can't. We're going to go to the end of the video. We're going to go to the end of the video and we're going to see what he says.
Matter because Hamas is still the governing party because there's not a real democracy there. They are a militant force that is dominating the Gaza Strip that is simultaneously fighting against the Israeli state. So I hope that this helps clear your understanding of the way in which Palestinians live in the Gaza Strip and how this has nothing to do.
There's no clarification here, by the way. There's zero clarification. Hassan said fucking nothing of value here.
With their this has nothing to do with their internal affairs or their government or how they view the world or how they view gay people at all.
I get it. I think that, and I do hope that they get their independence. I think that whenever they do, they're probably going to do the same thing that Hamas did to gay people before.
No, they were not. But I told you that. Hold on. Let's look this up real quick.
Go ahead.
Like, if that was the case, which is such a.
It's just insane. He's trying to like teach Asmongold, inform Asmongold about things like these things. Like, oh, actually, Palestinian people are very non-homo. They are very pro-gay people. Actually, where's the article, dude? Give me the proof. Source check. Okay, come on. Where is it?
Such a funny argument that we're having over like a group of individuals that are being genocided anyway. Like, I don't give a fuck if they literally were straight up jailing every homosexual person in the Gaza Strip. I still think that the genocide is inappropriate and completely unjustifiable. But yes.
Okay, so Hassan is against genocide, but he doesn't give a fuck if gay people are mass imprisoned and treated with oppression. Oppress the gays, imprison the gays, I don't care. Genocide a couple of Palestinian people, that's an issue. What does that even mean, dude? Both of those things are fucked up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Both of them are technically mass injustice upon a large group of people. That's what it is. And he just said he doesn't care about one, but he cares about the other. You see why Hassan is just the shittiest source of information? This is insane.
Well, two things can be bad, right?
What?
I mean, two things can be bad. It's not like only one thing can be bad. Like, obviously, it's bad.
West Bank, it's been legal technically since the annexation, but since 1951, they adopted the Jordanian Penal Code of 1951 in the West Bank. Shortly after the Jordanian annexation of the West Bank in 1950, same-sex acts were decriminalized across the territory with the adoption of the Jordanian Penal Code. So it's been decriminalized in in the West Bank. And before then, what?
Oh, go ahead.
And before then, it was it was first the Ottoman law, which was decriminalized in the 18th century, and then after that, it was British law. So on the 18th of September 1936, the Criminal Code of Mandatory Palestine, British Mandate Criminal Code, which drew from the Ottoman law or English law, was enacted, which meant that sodomy is illegal. What? I'm looking at the LGBTQ rights of Palestine on Wikipedia.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's considered a taboo subject. People experience persecution and violence. I mean, I feel like
of course,
that's kind of bad, right? I mean, like, yeah, for sure.
No.
And I think it's just,
I'm just simply stating that like it's more complicated than the way you presented it, though.
Of course,
don't you think?
everything is always more complicated. Of course, it's more
Okay.
complicated. And if I have a clip that is 30 seconds long, Obviously, that nuance is not going to be communicated. Of course not.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is
and
that
ultimately they will get to a place of being more open-minded to gay people once they have.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but I think Asmongold, his point is that he doesn't care the genocide that's happening. He doesn't care because the people over there are homophobic and they're not very good people. They have a bad religious system. They have a bad um, culture, which encompasses a large group of things. He doesn't care about the genocide. Is that a crazy fucking take? I mean, it kind of is, but at the same time, it's not something that is like outrageous and fucked up beyond belief that one guy on the internet says he doesn't care about genocide. I don't know. I don't know. Um, my opinions on this whole thing, the Israel Palestine thing, has flip flopped constantly. I've been very pro Israel. I've been pretty pro Palestine at moments, and I don't know. It's so confusing because there's so much misinformation out there. There's so much propaganda, and it is only worsened by people like Hassan, who just say the most fucking ridiculous shit and spout it off as a fact. And the reason it sounds like it's a fact is because he's talking so fast. That's it. It's just stupid. It's fucking stupid. So I don't know. Asmongold says he doesn't care about the genocide that's happening over there because, I mean, he's just got internet brain rot. I think it's definitely a good thing that he's walking away from the internet. He's gonna try and better himself as a human being. I think that's great. I think Hassan needs to stop grifting to this audience of people that are probably just giving him his disability check for this membership that they give him, so they can spout emojis off in the chat like a bunch of retards.
Once they have the
Um,
opportunity to
I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I don't think there's much else to say.
occupation in the West Bank. So
I think Asmongold had some valid points, but the overall statement was wrong. I think Hassan has. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Hassan, but yeah,